Happy Tuesday. Good morning. I have French vanilla coffee flavor in my cup with some cinnamon sprinkled on top. Moonies, thank you. George is over here. George is ready. Oh shit. Oh, did I couldn't find it for a second. Good morning, Moonies. He did. He's taken kitty cat Prozac, I think. They said that it looked like he was just. They said it just looks like he's trying to comfort himself. It's his own little kitty cat. Way of he's like right here on his paws, he's just licking too much, but she's also doing it like on her hind leg and her belly. His but they gave me a transdermal stick to rub it on the inside of his ears once a day. And so long as he doesn't have any skin reactions to it, I won't have to try to do pills. George, I don't ever remember giving George a pill. The couple of times when he's taken some kind of thing, it's been a squirt, oral squirt. That's much easier. It's still not like easy. But yeah.
Hi.
All right, here we go. Good morning, Rayven.
Good morning. I have no idea how this is going to go. My internet is not happy. Can you hear me?
Oh, I had your camera there for a minute, Rayven, but then I just lost you.
Can you hear me?
I do hear you.
Okay, that might be as good as you get today, to be honest. I am in the middle of nowhere in New Hampshire, and I was promised internet, and it is very spotty.
I don't have a camera on you at the moment. I did before I brought you live, but now it's black.
So I can see the camera on my end. I don't know if it's just toggling because of low internet speed. What would you like me to try?
It's hold on a second. It's weird. I see it in the back, but I don't see it on the screen. There we go.
You got me?
I got you. I got you.
Yay!
Oh, where are you?
I am in New Hampshire. And I was told by people in Vermont that New Hampshire is a wannabe cheap Vermont, like a knockoff. I found it, other than the rain, I found it very pleasant here.
I was gonna say the rain. I saw. I saw yesterday. They were talking about flash flood.
Yeah, imagine driving a trailer for the first time in that.
Mm-hmm.
It's been fun.
So, but where are you? Like right this minute, where are you? What's this space that you're in?
I am at an RV park,
Okay.
and I've got my little gypsy wagon is parked in an RV spot, and I am using their clubhouse facility to with their internet. It's still kind of goopy outside. I usually would just be outside with because I've
Yeah.
got the dog with me. She's on a leash. She's on a 6 foot or 4 foot leash right now, chewing on a bone. But it's just so wet out there, and it's still drizzly. It's been raining nonstop, so
Yeah.
I'm inside. I'm inside.
Well, it's good to be inside.
It is. It is.
Well, it's just you, me, and Moonies at the moment.
Oh,
Tisha,
well,
Tisha
hello.
said she was gonna get up and join us, so we'll see
Yeah, right.
if that happens. She yesterday because George had a vet appointment in the morning, so I didn't stream yesterday morning, and she's like, "Hey, I got up, I was ready to watch, and you weren't there."
That's hilarious. That's hilarious.
Well, gosh, I so look forward to these Tuesdays now because it's just like catching up with Raven's travels. So,
It's been a lot. There's been so much that has happened in the last 2 weeks. I feel like I've lived an entire lifetime. And I'm trying to think, where was I 2 weeks ago? 2 weeks ago, I was in West Virginia, and I was enjoying an Airbnb. And I was so surprised about how beautiful West Virginia was. I was warned when I went to the state parks that they didn't do a great job keeping the trails up. So I'm like, okay, well, how bad can it be? So after 45 minutes of unsuccessfully finding a trailhead, we decided to abandon that because if we couldn't find the trailhead, we probably weren't going to be able to walk the trail. But it was beautiful. um, yeah, people were really nice there. And then from there, we went to, so as soon as I left West Virginia, we stayed in a couple of hip camps where we were going to be camping, but the grass was so tall, there were ticks everywhere. And I just had this moment where, I had picked up my solar panels in West Virginia at the Airbnb I was staying at. And despite the fact that I have gotten rid of so much stuff, the second I put the new generator and the new solar panels in my car, it was too much. Like I was like, I cannot live like this anymore. I cannot. There's too much stuff in the car. I can't get to the stuff I need because all the stuff is piled up on the back. It takes me a half an hour to get to it. I'm done. I am like at capacity. And so I decided I'm gonna buy me a teardrop. And I did.
I I can show pictures of the said teardrop.
Please do.
So, all right. So, okay. Here's picture number one. I say that and then it doesn't show up. Come here. Come here.
Feels weird wearing makeup. I haven't worn it in a while.
There we go. There's the tear. So this is when you said teardrop because prior to the pandemic, was giving very serious consideration to a teardrop.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm imagining the teardrop shape.
Shape. Yeah, the smooth shape.
And so when you sent me this, I'm like, oh my goodness. it's homemade. So
It is homemade. Yeah. It's so
um,
cute.
it has the most amazing 1960s vibes.
it
Um,
it feels like, and I know that this is cultural appropriation, and I know that this is like a not fun term anymore, but I cannot for the life of me come up with a term that better describes it. It is a gypsy wagon. It is
yeah.
absolutely magnificent. I love it so much. I am not loving the learning curve to learn how to drive it and maneuver it, but I am absolutely loving the trailer.
So homemade. Now let me give you guys another view. So this is what it looks like on the, compared to her vehicle. That's how much extra, stuff is sticking out the back of her car when she's driving. And then fast forward this, you sent this picture to me, and I was like, holy shit, what the hell?
I don't even know what picture we're looking at because I can't see it.
It's, well, you sent a picture of me inside a camper, and I'm like, what kind of
Oh,
magical camper is this? And then it's like, oh, duh, that's not her camper.
no. My mom did the same thing though. I sent that picture to her too, and she's like, "Oh wow, it's big and spacious in there." I'm like, "Mom, that's a Class A. That's like the biggest RV you can get. That is not where I'm living."
Mooney says you're
Oh,
living a dream of hers right now. So here's I immediately think, okay, here's the kitchen. The back end is opened up.
hmm Yep. And I really like that it does not have a place for a sink because it just would get wet and goopy back there, and it would just have to
Yeah.
be dumped. So I just use the picnic tables. I have a foldable table, and then the guy that I bought it from actually built in this wooden table that comes off the side, and it's all
Mm-hmm.
stored up in there. He did such a good job. It was made with such love. They used it like 60 nights, and now I get to live in it. And it's like I even said when I bought it, I said, "Thank you so much for building this for me."
Yeah.
It was hard to get it. It was located in New Jersey, which I have come to find out I do not like New Jersey. I just don't like New Jersey at all. I don't like Pennsylvania at all. I'm indifferent to Maryland. I do not like Rhode Island. I absolutely adore Delaware. I love New York. I mean, I really, really, I could live in New York. I haven't been to the city, but I'm talking about outside of the city. I really enjoy New York. My heart, Vermont, 100% so far is the absolute best, and I don't mind New Hampshire. So, but I hated Jersey. I hated Jersey so much, and I had to go. It was a suburb of New York City that I picked it up in during rush hour. I had to pick it up on this at this guy's house, and it was just street parking. So I have to disconnect all of the stuff. Oh, you froze for me. Okay, now your eyes are moving. Okay. I had to disconnect the cargo thing that I had, get rid of it, connect to the trailer. I mean, all of this while there are cars everywhere. They're honking. I don't know how to drive it. It was a lot. And I had 8 hours to get from there to like Vermont, like an overnight trip. I had to drive 8 hours and starting at 6 p.m. and be there by 11 a.m. the next day. Yeah, it was harrowing, and the roads were falling out. There was rain everywhere. I can't back the thing up yet. Um, I have already put myself into situations that like an experienced trailer traveler would have been like, this is too much. And I've already done that multiple times. So it's been trial by fire.
So now we're looking at the side view where we get to peek in to where this is where you're sleeping,
I made
and
curtains
then
yesterday.
and then like there's storage inside.
Yeah, I was able to put all of my clothing, all of the blankets, and all of the cooking stuff into it. I
Yeah.
still have my toiletries and the actual food in the car.
Yeah.
But it has done so much. I can find things. I can easily access 100% of everything at every moment without
Nice.
disconnecting anything now, which is so freeing. It was becoming so stifling because I couldn't get to anything.
Nice.
Like, if I needed that one thing that was in the bottom of the bucket that was on the back of the hitch that was strapped down with, it was too much. It was too much. So now I know. But I had to be out there before I knew what I needed. I had to live it hard in order to understand what
Yeah.
my needs were to get something that would work. Because I mean, I thought about getting a van, like everybody does the van life thing. I really love my car. I know my car. If something's off with my car, I can feel it. I can say, you know what, I can take it into a shop and say, hey, this is happening here. And now with the addition of the trailer, I'm sensitive to the car's needs. But if I were to just go van life, it'd be a new system. I wouldn't know it. I wouldn't know if something was off, if I've got too much weight on it. I didn't want to start over when I have a perfectly good car that I feel an energetic connection to. So
Yeah.
I didn't want to, and then it would be coming up with all of the money to buy the van. Then I'd have to sell the car. I'd have to have two vehicles. It was just too much.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, I really want a teardrop. I can manage a teardrop. The SUV can pull a teardrop. I love being in it, like just being in a little space, like in a little cubby and sleeping in there.
Yeah.
It was it was a lot yesterday because I don't have an awning or a tarp set up for it yet for shade and for rain management. So it rained the entire day yesterday, and Nebby and I were pretty much stuck inside that the whole day,
Yeah.
and I didn't have a chance to get my solar panels out. So it was it wasn't. I mean, if this is every day for like a week straight, I'm gonna get bored. But
Yeah.
for just one day being in there, it wasn't that bad.
You have a tent. Are you keeping the tent? Did you get rid of the tent?
I have a tent briefly. I got rid of my Yeti. I just gave it away. I got rid of everything that I'm not using. And
Your Yeti?
yeah, my microphone that was like giving
Oh,
us trouble.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I just gave it away. And then I do have the tent and a really nice cot still. I am going to be getting rid of them, but I don't just want to put them out like, hey, here's a free pile, take it. I'd really like to gift it to somebody that
Mm-hmm.
needs it.
Yeah.
So they are big, but I'm willing to carry both of those items until I find like somebody that's
Mm-hmm.
houseless that is looking
Mm-hmm.
for a tent, and I can just be like, here's an instant tent that's a really nice tent and a bed, and here, take it and
Yeah.
use it. I am meeting a lot of people in various stages of chosen or not chosen houselessness.
Yeah.
And I've chosen to be houseless right now, and a lot of full-time RVers choose to be houseless. But
Mm-hmm.
I am starting to see the people that are like, we have no other option. We're
Yeah.
on disability. I get $1,600 a month. I run out of food at the end of the month.
Yeah.
Living in RV parks, living in campgrounds, living, boondocking, I still run out of money. And like they can't go far because they can't put the gas, they don't have the gas to move from one spot to another. And it's real, and I'm seeing it. So, yeah.
Do you remember? I love giving things away. I love
Me
it.
too.
I love that spontaneous moment of giving something away.
Hmm.
I had spent like $200 on a big traveling speaker. Um, I used it in Atlanta once. I had it for about a year and a half. I used it for Atlanta. We had a we had a we had a music we had a dance party, a sing along in the hotel kitchen. Do you remember that? Singing Queen. Um,
I don't remember the kitchen. I remember dressing up in our lederhosen and dancing with wigs with Marusha,
yeah.
but I don't
Well,
remember the kitchen.
it was the that little
Yes,
hotel. It
yes,
was their
I remember.
breakfast nook where
Yes,
they served
yes,
breakfast. Yeah.
yes. Now I remember. Yes, that's what you're talking about. Yes.
It was like there was this moment when Raven said, "Hey, do you think we could play some music down here?" I said, "I don't know. It's a public area." And she's like, "Well, why don't we just try?" Um, But then I took it with me to two more events. But the next year we were at the airport Marriott. We had a room upstairs. At the end of that event, when I was packing up and there was a bell person, like helping to put things away in my car, this guy's like, "Man, that's a nice speaker." I said, "You want it?" And he's like, "What?" I said it comes with a microphone. You want it? I don't want it anymore. Yeah. He was just like, am I being punked? I'm like, "No, really." And he's like, "This is expensive." I'm like, it's just big. Like, I'm just done carrying it around. I love giving things away.
It's so funny because I started trying to give away stuff like that I didn't need because now I have the camper at the state park I was at, and now here, you can't give stuff to a full-time RVer because they get it. They know. It's like, no, I'm staying away from that. I don't care how much it's worth. I ain't taking that. It's really nice. I don't want it
Yeah.
because it's more stuff to be responsible for, and it's been it's been an interesting experience, like really coming to terms with stuff. Like, I think most of us have the sense that not only does stuff cost us money, but stuff costs us time and attention and further money to store whatever the stuff is. But like being face to face with it and living in a car and like saying, is this something that I want to spend gas money and energy and effort? Do you know how much time I have spent in the last 6 weeks dealing with my stuff? It is so it is so freeing to get rid of it, no matter how recently I made the purchase. Like, some of this stuff is pretty much brand new and I'm like, nope, don't want it. I know, honey. Oh, there's a
Good
kitty in here.
morning, Dot.
That's what you're
Good morning, Dot.
There's a kitty in here, isn't there?
Nebby's like, "I would like to play with this kitty. Come here, kitty, kitty."
I know she would. The kitty's like, "You're on a leash. I'm just going to sit here and watch you." Hey, kitty, kitty, kitty. Over here. Come say hi. She's like, "Nope."
Yeah, we're talking about stuff. Stuff. Your relationship with stuff is changing. This morning when I was when the alarm went off this morning, I was like, it cannot possibly be morning. Not because I felt tired, but it just felt it was interrupting my dream. I lost the dream immediately. But I was sitting here thinking about how much I was looking forward to talking with you. And like, I remember looking at teardrops, not for the sake of permanently traveling, but for the sake of the freedom to travel as slowly and as exactly as I want to, I love road trips. I love, but I don't love sleeping in a car. Like,
it was getting old.
my body gets damn cranky if it can't 100% lay flat, for a little while. But I thought, so then my next thought was, I'm so glad she met someone that she might do some traveling with, because that sounds super fun. To be looking forward to seeing someone I already know for a while, but having my own space, and
right.
Like, I'm like, can I see myself like doing something like that, like getting a teardrop and meeting Rayven somewhere along her travels? It's like, right this cotton picking minute, and I can't imagine it, But give it a couple more years, and both of the grandkids are in school,
Yep.
But who knows by then where you'll be and what you'll be doing.
I have no idea. I don't even know what I'm doing next week.
Yeah.
I've had to stop making plans because I picked up the teardrop Thursday night in Jersey. I was supposed to pick it up Wednesday night, and the guy's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I got confused with the holiday. I'm not available Wednesday." I'm like, "What?" He's like, and I had already like made like I was already in that direction, and I had someplace that had to be Friday morning, and I'm like, okay. So I, moved mountains to to get that, and then not knowing how long it was going to take me to travel. Like whatever the travel time says, if it says 6 hours, it's going to take me 9.
Yeah.
And I'm adjusting to that it's that and a half between I'm now pulling a trailer and I don't know what I'm doing. And I'm slower. I'm going the speed limit because I don't have plates on the trailer. So I'm obeying all the rules because I didn't have time to get anything. I was supposed to go get a temporary one. When I was picking it up on Wednesday, I was going to go to the DMV in Jersey on Thursday, but because I had to be someplace Friday and everything got changed, there was no time. So I'm driving the speed limit. I need stops. She needs stops. The dog needs stops as much as possible. It takes me at least time and a half, at least.
Yeah.
And so I'm driving this thing. We stop at Thursday night in a Price Chopper parking lot to sleep, and and I didn't go into the trailer. I just stayed in the car and slept. And then by the time I got to the first place I was going to on Friday, I got the trailer stuck. Somebody had to get me out. It's pouring down rain. They are re-diverting traffic because the roads are washed out. So I'm in the middle
Mhm.
of it's pouring down rain. There's a cop. He's like, "Which way are you going?" And I'm like, I think towards Montpelier." Like I don't even know where I am. And he's like, "All right, well go up that hill and follow the car in front of you and you should be fine to go around." So my maps are offline. Luckily I had thought about that and taken like offline when I had internet connection in the area of Vermont I knew I was going to be. But the car I was supposed to follow didn't exist anymore because they're going faster than me. The roads are like it feels like I'm driving in creek beds, like empty
Mhm.
creek beds, because they're just all it's
Mhm.
even the paved roads. I've got this trailer. There are people behind me. There's no way for them to pass me. I don't know where I'm going, and my nav system. I don't know if it's trying to get me back to where I just left to get me back on the road that's washed
Mhm.
out,
Mhm.
or if it's going to magically pop me out on the other side. But like 10 miles later, I pop out in a place that seems legit. Like it seems like it's not back where I started. And I just keep going. And it's pouring down rain and I have to pee and there's no place to pull over. And I finally find a little place on the road to pull over. I open both car doors, pee between them. The dog's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, and I'm bawling. I get back in the car and I'm about a half an hour away from where I need to drop her off so that I can go to this big herb weekend walk thing at this farm I wanted to go to. I've already paid for it. And I'm like, I can't do it. I am mentally exhausted. I don't want to go figure out where to park to put her in the sitter. I don't want to go to wherever this is and figure out where to park there. I just want to stop. I just need it all to stop right now. So I had cell service. I managed to get a hold of the sitter and the place I was supposed to be. I'm like, I'm not coming. I'm a half an hour away. I'm not coming. Thank you. Have a nice life. And I randomly am like, where am I? I'm looking for a hip camp. I'm looking for anything. I find a state park nearby. If possible, the road getting to that state park was even worse than everything I had experienced up until
Mhm.
that point. But I'm like, I'm not going back. I have to keep going forward. So I get to the state park and I'm like, please tell me you have a spot and please tell me that I don't have to back into it. And it was a great state park. It was fabulous. And while I was there, I set it up. I spent the next 3 hours just making my sleeping space perfect in the rain. Get through the first night, and the next morning there's sunshine, and this woman walking her dog, this trans woman walking her dog, walks by, and we just start talking. And she's like, "I would absolutely love to travel with another woman." She says, you do your thing, I do my thing. She says, I don't want people sleeping in my house, because she's got a Class A. It's a bigger RV. And she's like, she says, I have been accosted on the road. She's
Mm.
very early in her transition, and she's very noticeably a trans woman.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, I just feel like it would be great if there were more than one of us, if we had a group of people, of women that were together, and they're not going to mess with two women and two dogs. So yeah, we're gonna try it out. She was real nice, and I'm I'm realizing I want to be alone. Like,
Yeah.
I enjoy having a meal or coming here and talking with you for a couple of hours. That's great. But on the all, uh-oh, we got an interaction between the kitty and Nebby. Hold on. Let me give you the video. We're gonna say hi. Is it the kitty? Okay.
Is is that a
You're gonna
brave
get
kitty?
that in a minute.
Is that a brave kitty, Nebby?
She says, "So we friends with the kitty, we can stay." The kitty's like, I'm about to swat your face. Okay. Are we good? Are we good? Okay. Okay. So yeah, I want to be alone. Um, I went to that big party, and I had to get there. I set up. I had this beautiful campsite. I put my funky psychedelic tapestries up, put my hammock up. I get all set up. I go to the first couple events, and I'm like, I don't want to be around people. I went to a burner event, and I didn't want to be around people. And I'm like, this is weird, because this is not me. Like, it was a
Mm-hmm.
4-day party that I was like pumped. I was like excited about. I wanted to be there. It was beautiful. All the art installations that they did, they made the place. I mean, it was just like a fairy forest. It was pretty freaking awesome. And I legit immediately was like, I don't want to be around people. And I've never felt that way in a crowd before, ever in my whole life. I'm an extrovert. I like being around other people. And so it was really weird. And I'm like, okay, let me just feel this. Let me just see where this goes. That, okay, I don't want to be around people. What do I want to do? And turns out I wanted to go to sleep at 10 or 11 at night. I didn't want to stay up till 2 a.m. for the orgies, even though they sounded really fun. Um, I I didn't want to be partying in the middle of the night. I can sleep through anything, so that wasn't a problem. I didn't want to be in the middle of a crowd. I did want to do Oh, sorry, we're not supposed to talk about that. Okay. I did want to commune with nature. I did want to talk to trees. I did want to to just be. And that was the biggest message that I got, is that I didn't need to take I didn't need to do what I thought I was going to do. I didn't need to like absorb all of the activity to absorb what I wanted and what I needed from the experience. And what was really fun is that with all of these new people that I'm meeting, I get to decide what I share, how I show up, if I show up, and I don't have to be responsible for anything. Like there was all this fun stuff that I could get involved with, and I chose to get involved with one of the art installations, with the playing the madame role, and that was really fun. And I went around. So the first night, I worked the second night. The first night there was a meeting for those of us, so that they could tell us what we're doing. They didn't tell us very much. It was great. And to that meeting, I wore a basically a big necklace instead of a shirt, and
Yeah.
my nipples were completely showing. And so I walked around for an hour in public, completely exposing myself, and it felt fabulous. And that's all I needed that night. And after the meeting, I'm like, I'm tired. I'm gonna go to bed. And I did. And then the next day I talked with the trees, and I just got this sense of, right now I've lived an entire life as a caterpillar. And I had no idea that that wasn't my life. And now I am in this strange in between cocooning period where I know something big is coming, but my experience in life thus far has not prepared me for what is about to happen. I don't know what it's like. I have no clue what's coming next. And I'm in this funky in between waiting period where I'm resting and I'm absorbing and I'm looking at the world differently and I'm learning about myself and about everything. And it's kind of a funky wasteland. Like I'm waiting and yet I'm also just being. And and it doesn't look like what I thought it was going to look like. And that's okay. I don't know what I thought it was going to look like, but yeah. I know you want to play with the kitty. She'll come back. She'll come back and say hi. She will. She will. She's brave. She's a brave girl.
the
So yeah, I didn't party.
well, I think what a it's your prerogative. Like, there are probably, I imagine there are folks that went to that event who who couldn't allow themselves to participate fully because
Yeah.
they had, fear of rejection or looking different or whatever. You knew you could fully participate. You knew you could, you knew you would if you wanted to. And meh, I don't I'm good here. I don't I am not going to. Like, did
It
that
was
feel powerful?
It did. The first day, okay, so the first day it was a setup day and then it started in the evening. And I walked around with my shirt, with my boobs out and everything. And I got back to the tent and I'm like, I want to go to bed. And I'm like, but there's all this stuff going on and I struggled. I'm like, what is happening? Why am I feeling this way? And I just had that first night was rough. It really was because I wasn't feeling up to behaving the way I intended to when I made the plans in the first place. So my FOMO was going crazy. I was like, what is happening? Why am I feeling tired? Like I was beating myself up about it. And so it took the following morning and my communing with nature before it finally settled and I was able to see it for what it was and I was able to say, you know what, this is a choice that I am making to not go crazy and to push my body beyond what it wants to do right now in this moment, which is look at this lake and admire the fairy forest and hear
Mm-hmm.
them rehearsing for tonight's stuff and lay in the grass and get dirty and talk to the bugs and I did talk with people and at one point I found myself once I released my need to be in it and I fully accepted and embraced my desire to observe, to not take the classes, but to watch the classes and to watch the people and how they were expressing themselves. There was so much joy for that in me. And at one point, I was walking along the path, and there were these three young mid 20s men that were attempting to cook a meal out of a charcoal grill. And when I happened upon them, they had a vial of lighter fluid, and
Mm-hmm.
one of them was a lit charcoal grill. And I have no idea what they were trying to accomplish. But the three of them were like really scared and were trying to dump the lighter fluid on top of the grill. I think that they were trying to get flames and I think that they thought that they needed the flames to cook the food. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. I didn't ask because I didn't need to ask. I didn't need to solve their problem. I just wanted to see how they were going to solve it. And so at one point, they noticed me just hovering back. And I'm like, oh no, I'm invested at this point. I'm going to see it through. And I just watched them for 10 minutes while they attempted to bring flames to their charcoal. And I so felt the need to not help them. Like to not say, okay, what are we trying to do here? Like, okay, this is what you need to do. I could have, because it was obviously did not know what they were doing. But it was just fun to observe, to say, you know what, this isn't my responsibility. I don't have to get involved. I can just watch. And so that's what I did. I spent the rest of that trip just watching what was in front of me. I missed the orgy. Like well, I'm sure there were more than one, but there was one on my phone when I woke up that said, "Okay, there's an orgy going on, blah 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 blah, over in this place." And I'm like, I would have at least gone to watch. I probably would have gotten, but I definitely would have gone to watch. And but it was like at 3 o'clock in the morning, so I'm like, I was asleep. I was very much asleep.
Good morning, Nikita. Good morning. Yeah, just to clarify, it's not that we can't mention mushrooms. We just can't.
Make the
If
whole topic.
if we're gonna dive into the topic, we need to change the indicators
You know
on the
me.
stream.
You might want to just do that as a preemptive thing with me.
um, the okay, so let me think about other questions that I might have. So you embraced the freedom to just watch, and that felt powerful. Like, cause I could imagine going to an event like that. Like, just there's lots of events I've gone to where I've envisioned something for myself at the event, and then I couldn't find it in me to be as forthright and, you know, wasn't wasn't ready, wasn't brave enough, wasn't past my shit enough to do what I wanted to do. And then it's like I come home from the event going, "Damn, I didn't create what I wanted there." That's not what that was not
No.
the situation at all.
Mm-mm.
But yeah, to go to an event and know I could put myself out there more. I could solve these guys' problems. I could do all these things, and I don't want to.
Yeah.
Like, that's
Yeah.
that's some that's autonomy. That's owning your autonomy.
It was such a beautiful moment because leading up to the event and getting there early, I was literally the first person in because I had no place else to go. I mean, I'd driven there for that purpose. I was ready to go. I was, I mean, the way that I travel now, it's sometimes I get ready in a gas station parking lot. I mean, that's just the way it works.
Mm-hmm.
So I was there, and I'm somebody that helps people. I'm somebody that has I I'm always the person traveling that if you need batteries or if you need like some random like over the counter medication, I probably have it. Like I just have stuff, and especially the way I'm traveling now. If somebody needed a really small wrench, I'm like, I actually have a really small wrench. So there's WhatsApp groups so we can communicate with each other, and so I'm helping people, I'm volunteering, I'm bringing things here and there, and after that first day, after that first night of me saying what the hell is happening to me, and the next morning when I did the mushroom trip and I got the downloads and I got the information of, no, right now you're not in a participatory mode. That's not what you're here to do. You are here simply to be. That is the cocooning part of the journey for you. It is not about doing, it is not about becoming. It is about being. And you don't need to take on any responsibility. And so I stopped offering to help people. And instead, I this was a really weird thing with me. I blended in, which I never do, but this is a burner event. So people are walking around pretty much naked, some people, or in any style of dress whatsoever. You've got, there are no gender norms, there are no norms. People were just able to express themselves however they wanted to. And I found myself, because I also express myself however I want to, I blended in to the chaos, which was a unique experience for me because I always stand out wherever I go. No matter how I try or not to, I always stand out. And so to not stand out, to just blend in, and to just be able to appreciate what everybody else did to make the event as beautiful and as fabulous as it was without having to do the work was just such a freeing experience. And to be able to be in my body and say, I am choosing to not do anything, because that is what I want right now in this moment, and that is how I can express myself even more, with such a, like, a life altering rock. Like, and there's a part of me that really wanted to go and play, like the FOMO part of me was like, I wanted to go and play and do all the things and make all the friends, and at the same time I didn't. I knew day one that I've got this thing in my head, like, I'm looking for my people.
I
And
want to
every
say thank you
event,
for the follow dildo play.
I would also like to say thank you for the follow dildo play, not because I'm thanking you for the follow, but because I really just wanted to say that out loud.
I know it. I know it.
Oh, but it was just, it was, I feel more free. I feel more like I can do anything in life, because I
Mm-hmm.
really can. If I can try
Yes.
that trailer, I can do anything. Oh my god, it's I sometimes I think I purposefully put myself into ridiculous situations just so I can see how I figure out how to get out of them. And now that I've realized that about myself, I don't really want to do that anymore.
Uh,
I know, baby.
the I mean, do you have some trailer practice planned? Like,
Whenever I can find a Walmart or parking lot, like, I haven't come across anything. I'm in the middle of nowhere,
yeah,
and right now everything's wet. So I
yeah,
really want to learn all of this in an actual parking lot. And I've had so many great intended people that are like, "Oh yeah, well, if you just put your hands on the bottom, or it's absolutely backwards." I'm like, I get it. I completely understand, like, the logic behind what I'm supposed to do with the wheel.
yeah,
However, my practical experience of doing that does not produce the results that I want.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
therefore, something is not right in either my interpretation of the logic, or in, like, when does it get to turn, or, oh, well, that only applies to a longer trail. Yours is short, so you need to do it this way. Like, there's a
yeah,
learning curve to it, and I
yeah,
just don't know it yet. And I tell you, give me a month and I will be backing that thing into a one-lane driveway with cars on either side. Like,
yep.
I'll be able to do it, but
Hell
I'm not
yes, you
there
will.
yet.
I I I have my visual spatial perceptions are not okay most of the time. Like I'm like backing into a parking spot, backing into a parallel parking spot. It's back when I was in my RAV4, I was way more comfortable with it, but now that I'm in a longer vehicle, it's like a whole new
Yeah.
getting used to it. And I've had this damn car for a year, you know. I just don't experience the parking often enough to to get the muscle memory.
Right, right. And I think, I was thinking the other day as I'm driving this trailer, and I was thinking back to the last time I was a full-time RVer, because I guess technically I am now again, because I have a RV, even though it's just a little camper. Um, and I prefer boondocking. I don't. This RV park it served my needs for these few days and internet connection. But I don't want to stay in RV parks. They're too family oriented. It's hard to smoke weed without feeling weird. And everybody's really close together, and it's like, this is not what I want, but I needed it right now. Um, and I'm thinking back to the last time I was RVing full time with two kids, with my very large ex-husband, and I say that because we lived in 200 square feet. So to have two kids, two cats, and a 325-pound man, it's a lot. That's a lot
Mm-hmm.
in a small space. And we had this big diesel dually. It was a 40-foot travel trailer, and he did 100% of the driving, 100% of the parking, to the point where I didn't give good advice when he was trying to back up, so I wasn't allowed to give advice. Like, you know, like, he's like, I am better off without your help. Like, we'll go pick a stranger up that's in the park, and they can help, because that's not good. I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
it solves
yeah,
problems. I didn't even help. And I'm thinking back to, like, I remember there was a time that I had to drive that truck for some reason, and I had a panic attack about it. It wasn't even attached to the trailer, it was just the truck. And I look back at that versus where I am now, and I mean, that's just another example of caterpillar versus cocooning versus what's to come. You know, there's so much that I've experienced, so much growth, so much change, so much, you know, coming into my own power that I have no clue what's next because I know it's bigger than anything I can imagine.
Mm-hmm.
I have come a long way. I have come a long way.
So you've been on the road how long now? How many weeks is this? Is this 5?
I think we're into 6 now. Let me look at the math. May 30th, there's 1. Come in. 2, 3, 4, 5. This is 6 full weeks. Tomorrow starts 7.
Nice. And okay, I wanted to talk about you're on a wait list for Burning Man, and you've decided not to pursue that. So please
trees.
say more about because it's not about, oh, I don't want to go do this event. It's more about the space that it's in. So
yeah, so the event that I went to was a burner event, which is it's a type of event that attracts people that want to express themselves creatively, want to do art, want to have the parties, want to burn an effigy of some sort. In this case, it was a sloth. It was really cute. And I'm really, like, there are some times that, like, I deliberately don't take pictures. Like, I love the fact that the memories exist in my head. Yeah. I don't need a picture for it. And some of the stuff I don't feel like sharing, if that makes any sense. Like, this is my journey. I don't need the whole world watching it right now. And so I was at the event. I had the mushrooms. I was understanding that I just wanted to be. I was communing with trees, and the trees right now are I'm making such connections with trees. And I know that sounds weird, but that's, like, there's so much energy in there for me. And I'm enjoying being in the forest. And I just suddenly realized, oh my, if I go all the way out to the desert, there are no trees there. Where am I going to hang my hammock? Where am I? I don't want to be out there. I legit, maybe next year. I think a lot of me wanting to go to Burning Man this year is there's this doom and gloom part of me that thinks that it won't exist the next year. And that literally, if I want to go, this is my only chance. And so part of me getting off the wait list for tickets and choosing, and I got off the wait list. Part of me saying no to Burning Man this year is saying yes to a better future. Is saying yes to the fact that it will still be there when I'm ready to go. And so that was a conscious decision for me as well. And I decided to hop timelines. So lucky you, this version of you is in this timeline with me. And so I have moved to the timeline where love wins. So I don't need to worry about all the doom and gloom. All I need to do is focus on the outcome that I want. And that's the timeline I'm going to be in. I don't know about the rest of you. Like, y'all get to choose what timeline you want to be in. But I'm in the one where love wins. So I'm in the one where we have a better future tomorrow than we do today.
Have you? I'm a big Marvel fan. Have you watched Loki? The Marvel?
I haven't yet. No, I wanted to, but we were watching them all in order, and then I got really, really bored and ickied out in the middle, and we never got to Loki.
I've only watched an episode and a half of Loki, but it's all about time. Timelines and these beings that are protecting the timeline. But so I can track with you on the possibility of jumping timelines. Like, okay, I get it. Um, and yeah, I'm glad I'm still in your timeline.
Well, I was so at the event, I offered quantum jumping for people,
Yeah.
and I had a couple people take advantage of it. But it was through something called the two cup method, and y'all can do this if you're listening right now and you're thinking there's something in my life, maybe it's finances, maybe it's love, there's a category of your life that you've not created what you want, and it seems in your viewpoint, it might seem that what you want versus where you currently are very far apart. All right, and if you'd like, there is a method to change your timeline from the one that you are presently in into a similar timeline that is closer and faster to your goal. Okay, so you can shift if you know, like, you know what you want to get to that timeline, but there are caveats. All right, and this is where it trips people up. You've heard of the Mandela effect, the
Mm.
Nelson Mandela,
Yeah.
and that, if you're not familiar, if you're listening right now, it's this sense that people have, that things in their past are not the same as what the global perception is. For example, there are a lot of people that vividly remember Nelson Mandela dying in prison. And you might be listening to this right now and thinking, well, yeah, he did. He didn't. He not only survived prison, he went on to be the president of South Africa. Like, he had decades and major political stuff and worldwide leadership after that. He did not die in prison. But there are many people that not just think it, remember it. And it's not just that. That was the biggest thing. But there are thousands of examples of little things, like that logo looked different, and that book was a different name, or just stuff like that.
Yeah.
And the popular theory is that, well, we hop timelines, and we were in a different timeline when that happened, and that's our recollection of it. Now we're in a different one, and so our memory is different of the event. So that's all well and good, because I make up that for most of us, unless we were living in South Africa and we had, um, personal experience with that, it probably didn't make that much difference in our personal timeline, whether he did or did not die in prison, for us as an individual, for most people. When you consciously jump timelines, the Mandela effect is more personal. And what I mean by that is, you might switch a timeline, be talking with your mom about a family friend, and be like, oh, well, how is so and so? And how are all 5 of her kids? And your mom be like, they never had 5 kids. They've only ever had 4. What are you talking about? And you're like, well, I remember growing up with this kid. I'm like, no, that kid never existed. or they could have an extra sibling, or things like that. They're more local to you, the effect of, I remember my past differently. So you could wind up in a situation where local things don't add up. But even having said that, it's not going to be like, you're not going to wind up with another brother or sister, or less brother or sister, because that's too close, right? The timelines would not be enough of a similarity. So yeah, that's the caveat, is that you might get into a timeline where things don't make, there's little things that don't make sense.
If anybody, if anybody's watching this and thinking she's putting this on, she's not. That's
Nope.
just Rayven. She's got a whole nother life in her head.
So you want to know the
That
physical?
stretches me ridiculously.
So you want to do it? You want me to tell you how to do it?
No. No. Did you, speaking of movies, did you happen to see Everything Everywhere All at Once?
Mm-hmm. I liked it.
Um, that that movie, that's one of the movies that I would not normally watch, something that gets so weird. And I don't mean the timeline stuff. I'm okay with that. I'm a Marvel fan. I'm okay with that. It's the hot dog fingers and people jumping on dildos that that were cracking me up. Shout out to Dildo Play being here for that. Um, but this,
I I I love the paint worlds. Like I would love to be in a universe made out of paint. I just feel like it would be squishy and fun to play with.
um, the idea that you tap into the other timeline and pick up their skill sets,
Hmm.
that that's so cool, you know. Um, like picking up a part of someone else and carrying on with it is so cool.
Yeah.
The question of, if you're jumping timelines, what happened to the person who was in that timeline?
So there's terminology, and I'm not going to use the terminology right now because I don't remember the specific words. All right. But I am learning about how our higher self is, like the math of it, if you will. And what we experience as our soul is part of our higher self. It is a small fraction of what is part of our higher self. And in the realm that our higher self is, the avatar playing the game, playing our character, in that realm, time does not exist. Okay? So all of the experiences that our higher self is having, whether it's from this version of us or the infinite versions of us that are available, or the other versions of other characters that are available, is all happening simultaneously. We, as our soul in this body and in this mind, are able to only experience what is happening right now for us in order to experience it. So all of those pieces of us that make up our higher selves are still functioning in the other timelines and in the other places that they are. It is simply the shifting of our experience as this fraction, as this soul, and what we want to accomplish that shifts so that we can experience what it is that we would like to in this form. So it all still exists. And yeah, there are other versions of us that will experience all of the horrible things that we could possibly contemplate because there's a version of us that has done that and has thought about all of that and has brought all of that into our lives. Um, and that's not the one I want to experience right now. I've figured out how to play the game. I'm playing it. This is the game I want.
All right. The I remain deeply uncomfortable with the idea that something is choosing negative experiences for me. I don't like it.
Well, the negative experiences, and I get that. I get that. The negative part of it is that when so many negative experiences are happening, we've lost the realization that we have the choice. Like that's the biggest reason that we have the negative experiences that we do, is that we don't realize we don't have to have them. And just realizing that is step one. Actually changing it is a whole series of other steps, but the awareness of it is the biggest key. So in addition to that, the whole purpose of us being here is to feel. And we were given the ability to feel really bad as well as really good, because in order to feel really good, we have to understand what really bad is. Otherwise,
Yeah.
there's nothing to feel. And that's the entire purpose of our game time here on Earth, is to experience and is to feel. So yeah, and I get it. I get it. Like, why would we want to put ourselves into this situation? But if all you have is time, and nothing can hurt you, and the rules, makes sense to me.
There was a TikToker, a TikTok for you page just, it exposes you to people you've never seen before, and I have, so um, this guy Um, apparently, somebody had posted a comment and they said to the guy, nice single wide man, clearly intended to be a dig at, you know, like suggesting, oh, you live in a trailer park, like why would I admire your life? So this, people will respond to comments, put the
Yeah.
comment up, and so he just responded to it and said, you know, I know you think you just like dug,
Insulted.
insulted me. And here's the thing, you did just see me come out of a single wide trailer in that video. And you think that means something about me. And here's the thing, you're absolutely right. I grew up in a single wide trailer. I grew up poor. I grew up being judged. The first girl I ever asked to a dance said, I can't go to the dance with you. You're trailer trash. And he's like, I was 11 at the time that insult came through. It's like, so you think you insulted me? You think you spoke to something about me? You did speak to something about me, but it does not mean to me what you think it means. To me, it's the gratitude that I have for my life, knowing what it was like to grow up that way, to experience life that way. And and now, anyways, I completely accept that we appreciate things more when we know what it's like to not have them. And I'm still not okay with what some people experience at all ever.
Yeah.
The thought that there's a higher. I used to hate to think of a god allowing that. I would feel angry towards that God
Yeah.
for allowing that. I don't have that concept of God for myself anymore. And I do not yet fully understand or embrace what you're talking about. But when you describe it, I just think, well, if there is a higher level version of me who has chosen this stuff, like, what the fuck, you goddamn vicious, mean-spirited, awful thing. Like, what the fuck? Um, so just saying. Mooney's
I
set. Well, first Mooney's like, I hear George. George, he's gone now because I combed him and he had enough. But he was like right underneath my microphone. Mooney says, I lived in trailers pretty much from 5 years up until I was about 23, and people really judge you hard for that. Yeah, they do.
It's so
dip
ridiculous.
potato chip 2 + 2 equals question mark. We're not taking math tests today, dip.
That sounds hard.
No math tests for me today. But welcome back to the stream. Yeah, it's the I believe in the concept of consciousness being connected. I'm not yet fully grasping like the concept of reincarnation, the concept of multiple timelines. I've seen enough Stargate, Star Trek, Marvel to like have the ability to imagine it. It's the choosing. It's when someone suggests that someone's choosing something
Hmm.
that horrifies me. It horrifies me.
Yep. I get it. I get it. And so if we take the emotion out of it, I can simplify it with the video game analogy. The whole concept, and it's going to fall flat based on lived experience. But
Mm-hmm.
the concept of, as a video game player, you choose your character, you purposefully give that character specific strengths and weaknesses in order to see how they're going to make it through. Give them something that's a big handicap and see how they can overcome it, because you as the controller, you as the one that's playing the game, that you have the skills and the love for the character to do your best to get them out of it. And that's part of the game and part of the experience for you. And you as the player knows that no matter what happens in this world to this character, you are completely fine. There's no such thing as death. There's no such thing as getting it wrong. It's simply a game, one that you've decided to make challenging for yourself. So on a simple, like, logical level, makes sense.
Yeah, I mean,
On the
you um,
mhm,
I play a game where we do that. We play characters. Characters have strengths and weaknesses.
mhm,
But characters are not. Um, I'm not even gonna say characters don't go through really tough shit. Cause like the character Wendy, her twin sister dies. People are stolen from their lives and dropped into this constant. Um, a little boy is consumed by a spider and now lives inside of a spider. It's not that there isn't some weird shit that happens within that game, but that create odd benefits and odd deficits for the characters, and you have to learn how to adapt to them, and that is part of the fun of the game.
mhm.
But like this last week here in Michigan, a man stabbed a woman and stole her car and kidnapped her 2-year-old. And the 2-year-old was found a couple of days ago strangled with a pink charger cable. Like thinking about what that 2-year-old went through, suggesting the thought, just holding the thought of, oh, some higher version of herself chose that. Fuck
Yeah,
off. Like, just
it's a hard
fuck
it's a hard one.
off with that idea.
So the only thing I can say to that is that from the vantage point that we have in the game, when shit looks bad, like, what the hell, we're not seeing the whole picture. We can't. We're not.
Yeah, and
We're
but that's spiritually abusive. That's spiritually abusive. That's just like Christianity 101. God's ways are not our
Yeah,
ways.
didn't say it was God's ways. I'm simply saying that from the vantage point that we have, we literally don't even know how the game is played. Like, we're learning that and figuring it out. We have purposefully been masked our ability to understand things in order to experience. Like, that's part of it. So there are these big gaping holes and
Yeah.
these big questions and these big what the hell. And the only answer that makes any sense is we don't have the answer. We
The
can't
only answer
see
that makes any
everything.
sense to me is that it's a mistake.
And it
It's
might
a
have been.
it's a flaw. It's
Okay.
not I the only thing that makes sense to me is that it is a mistake, it is a flaw, And consciousness as a whole is trying really hard to never to move away from it
Hmm.
because it's not what anyone ever wanted.
And I agree with that. I completely agree that consciousness does have an agenda of bringing people towards the light, towards consciousness. But in order to do that, they also had to create the shadows and the dark. And right now, we're experiencing a global thing where the shadows are being exposed by the light. And that's why things are getting really weird, really fast. And they're going to get weirder and it's going to be bigger. But in the end, the shadows will be gone, the light will be here, and we will have uplifted the earth, at least in the timeline I'm in. We
Mm-hmm.
will have uplifted the earth to a higher form of consciousness, to a better place where much, much, much less of what you're describing will exist because we have brought the light and the consciousness into the people that are here and we're eradicating that. So, but we have to expose it all first, and that's kind of gonna get weird. It's I mean it's already getting weird. Y'all know it. Y'all know looking around at some of the things that the Supreme Court has done, some of the things that your local states governments have done, how we've felt like we've just lost 100 years of progress in a matter of weeks. Like that stuff is real and it's necessary in order to expose the shadow for what it is, to shine the light on it, and to eliminate it. Because once you've put light into shadow, it is gone. This is the stuff that I ponder sitting in my wagon with a bunch of weed in the rain.
Yeah. Yeah. I I always enjoy the discourse and um I so like when I talk with Raven y'all, it's it's like the fuck is she talking about? What part of this do I even want to play with, you know? And just what part of it is just like, nah, that's not for me. Like, and here's the thing, like Raven, you believe everything you're saying,
I absolutely do.
and that doesn't disturb me because I don't. There are all kinds of people who believe all kinds of things.
Hmm.
Of all the things that people believe and act on, your shit isn't out there fucking up the world. Um,
No, I'm trying to do the opposite here. I'm trying to bring the world together, make more joy and happiness.
but yeah, yeah, I if 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 when I die or sometime before then, I, you know, I get some kind of clarity or download from my higher self that's the way things are. I'm still gonna be fucking pissed about it and be like, I object. Like I just
Yeah.
fucking object. Um, I don't. Mm, doesn't resonate with me. Doesn't choices resonate, but that kind of existential choice does not resonate with me.
And
And
I make up when the time is right, it will.
if maybe
You
or
know, I had a pretty tumultuous relationship with my father who died 2 years ago. And now that he's passed, I feel his presence around me often. And and he's always so joyous. He's always so happy. And it's such a it feels so right and also so not. I'm tearing up because we did not have a good relationship at all. And I really like him now. I hated him growing up, but I know that he had to have experienced some shit on Earth before he met my mother and me, um, that we'll never know what that was. And it made him into a person that was really difficult to live with. And he's so free right now. And I think he's hanging around because he knows that he screwed some stuff up for specifically for me, probably more than my mom and my sister, maybe my mom as much, definitely not my sister as much. And I kind of think he's just here to make sure that everything's going good. But there's a part of me that says if he gets it now, if he knows what life is all about now and he can be in such joy, I absolutely know that all of this will make sense eventually, even if it doesn't right now. If he overcame it, everybody can. Even some of the biggest villains on the stage right now. And there are some good villains out there. There are some good ones. I know, I know. And it's a tough pill to swallow. We'll get you some mushrooms.
uh, you, if I mean, I and here's the thing is I can grasp the timelines thing and understand that if if we are moving around, if we are eternal,
Mm-hmm.
if we're connected to, if we're all little bits of consciousness connected, moving to create more and more of what we want in the world, um, and if there's more than one world, if what if the downloads that you've got are that this is how things work,
Mm-hmm.
um, and that's true for your experience of the timelines, may not be true for my experience of the timelines.
Yep,
Who knows
correct.
how many fucking millennia there are that I don't ever get your download.
Mm-hmm.
You know that I'm. You know that just who the fuck, like, talk about brain breaking.
And think about how many out there that you do. Because it's my understanding of timelines, like the way that my brain works around the concept of there are infinite timelines is its choice. Okay. So if quantum physics says that every possibility exists in the field of possibilities, right? We're simply choosing the one that we want. And we just keep bringing it to us. And that's how we skip timelines. That's how we move through, depending on what we choose. So I like to think of it as anything is possible, multiple possibilities. And it helps not break my brain with there are parallels of me having this conversation in infinity right now, and it just varies based on the next word coming out of my mouth. Like that's hard for me to conceptualize. But the thought of I am choosing this reality and bringing it to me, and every choice I can possibly make at any moment of any day for the entirety of my life, every choice is out there. And every choice is a new experience for me and is a new pathway that my life can go. That makes much more sense to like organizing it. Does that make sense?
I want to believe that I want to believe that rape and murder and genocide and hate crimes and child abuse and starvation, that these are aberrations of the intention,
Mm-hmm.
that they were never intended, that they were never desired, that it's a mistake that consciousness seeks to correct. That's
Yes.
what I want to believe.
And that's actually, so this was a hard, I'm going to talk about something that was a hard thing for me to wrap my brain around, which is the concept. And I think you're speaking to this right now. The concept of as I heal my own trauma, this is a really hard thing for me to wrap my brain around. I am also healing the trauma of my different timelines, as well as my ancestry and my future children, even the ones I've already had. So that didn't make sense to me. Like if I like the concept of if I heal my trauma and have a baby, now I can pass on trauma-free life to my child makes sense to me. But the concept of if I heal my trauma, I've healed my grandmother's trauma, who's dead. I couldn't wrap my mind around. But in this timelessness that we are in, and in this advancement, that what you're speaking to is exactly what's happening right now. And it's why all of this is being stirred up to the surface. Because consciousness wants to get to a place where it is more whole, where it is more loving, where it is achieving the things it set out to achieve, and to banish some of the atrocities that have been happening, so that it's more of a, okay, like let's feel bad, ow, I stubbed my toe, versus good, my body feels good today. Let's get to more of those experiences as opposed to the genocide versus, you know, what we're doing as a consciousness on earth right now, those of us who are moving towards the love and the light, is that we are healing the generations of trauma that have come before us. And that healing propels the this level of 3D versus 5D, this world, into a better future, into a better energetic alignment where more good comes and less bad comes, less of those the horrible atrocities. So there are those of us, myself included, out there right now that are seeking to heal the earth from the atrocities that you are speaking of. And that is the consciousness right now. That is the goal right now, is to stop it, because we've had enough. We're This is not the world that we want to be in, and this creation is not good enough. We can do better, and so we are. That's what we're doing. We are consciously striving to do better, and sometimes it takes looking at what is really happening in order to say no, not that. Use your powers for good and not evil.
um, mm, well, the oh gosh, we don't have enough time in the world to track the trauma train. The um, trauma research, um, the body, um, the body keeps score. You're
Hmm.
familiar with that? There's a book, The Body Keeps Score.
I'm not familiar with the book.
Well, trauma. There is a book called The Body Keeps Score. It's a very good book about trauma. ACEs. You're familiar with ACEs, Adverse Childhood Experiences.
I've heard the term in passing. Hmm.
So there was research done between the CDC and a giant health insurance company.
Hmm.
Um, the concept came up that, hey, it seems like when a child experiences trauma, they are then unhealthy in a variety of ways. And so this ACEs study was done where they just gave people a multiple choice thing to say, did these, give yourself a point if these things happened to you. And it's
Hmm.
like, was there a divorce? Was there drug use in the home? Was there alcoholism? Did you experience, did a parent get abused physically? Um, you know, there's 10 different questions, and you just give yourself a point for every one of them that you experienced. And um, the the results were that the more ACEs that you identify um, compared to your health. Are you overweight? Have you, do you have high blood pressure? Do you have diabetes? Have you had a heart attack? The number of ACEs directly correlated with the number of health issues. And well, and then of course the mental health connection, the number of ACEs connected to the number of, depression, anxiety, etc. The study itself shouldn't shock anyone, and yet it still manages to shock people. But the here's the interesting thing is there's a school, there's a movie, a documentary, Paper Tigers. They took a school, they created a school, and they designed it somewhat around ACEs awareness. So all of the students took the ACEs quiz in order to identify, like, I have 4 ACEs, I have 6 ACEs, I have 7 ACEs. And then they are encouraged to be aware of them. Having had some recent experience with highly traumatized young people, when you're a young person, when you're a person who's living out the consequences of ACEs, whether it's depression, anxiety, health issues, whatever, almost everyone people point at them and say, well, what are you doing to fuck your life up? You're eating the wrong thing. You're doing the wrong thing. You're reacting the wrong way. You're feeling the wrong feelings. Let's fix you. Because you're not doing this thing called life right. And so you're creating all these problems for yourself. The ACE's perspective is, look at what happened to you. Look at what you experienced. Look at the impact it's having on your body. Even if you're not mentally and emotionally in tune to the fact that you're suffering from these ACEs, your body is fucking telling you that you're suffering from these ACEs. And so it's an awareness of, because of what has happened to you, you must pick up the reins and make different choices. You have to adapt to deal with the consequences of what happened to you. It's a it's a whole responsibility versus blame thing. And anyways, but diving into people who have made this their life's work, their study, is trauma, then you see academics become a little woo-woo, because they have to say generational trauma is a thing.
It is.
The mother experienced this, the child, like the more consequences visible in the life, the farther back you can track the trauma.
It's in our DNA.
Yep. It's interesting I sat in a full day trauma training with academics they are paid by the government to educate people about trauma, to create more trauma aware providers.
Hmm.
And there's a moment in the training where they're just like, we don't know how to explain this, but we also can't deny it,
Hmm.
that generational trauma is a thing. And if we don't start to help people overcome and change, like, scares the shit out of us what the next generation looks like.
Right. This is the generation that stops it. We're here. It's all coming to a head. It is being exposed at a level that is uncomprehendable. And these these things that are happening right now, I mean, if you look at what's happening in the school system across the board since COVID, the teachers are like, we're not teaching anymore. We are managing classrooms and we don't have the tools or the resources to do it. And you have to understand. I'm hearing from teachers that I follow on Instagram and stuff. They're like, the world that exists right now did not exist before COVID. And we're leaving the industry because we don't have the tools or the resources to deal with it anymore. You have to understand things are different. Things are different, and it's all coming to a head. That's what we're experiencing in this entire world right now, is that everything has gotten stirred up. All of the gunk is getting stirred up, and we have the opportunity to process the gunk and turn it into something beautiful. And it's a big undertaking. But we're not going to have another chance. I mean, this is it. This is the time. That is what is happening. It's not okay. We're going to just push it down again and deal with it in 10 years. It's we're dealing with it now. Like it or not, it is coming full force. All
that
of it.
that that we don't have another chance doesn't resonate with me.
When I say we don't have another chance, what I mean is we are in the great reset right now. This is the reset.
But every generation says that. That's
Mm.
every generation says that. Go back go
Hmm.
back to the 70s and I guarantee that all the woo woo people said this is it. The flower children, this is it. We're
Right.
everything is going to change now. Every generation says that.
Yes,
This is
and
it. This is the moment.
and no generation has experienced what we have and the
I
amount of
don't
time that
know.
we have.
I don't know. I don't know if you went back and talked to some people who were experiencing what you experienced back in the 70s. I don't know if they wouldn't say the same thing.
But here's where
It's
they
all
wouldn't.
relative.
Here's let me give you a good example. All right, when you and I grew up, we had we played outside. We built clubhouses. We came home
Hmm.
when the street lights came on. We drank out of hoses.
Yeah.
That was a pretty standard experience for us, for our siblings, for our parents, for our grandparents, and for our great grandparents. That is how children grew up.
I
That
don't
is
know about
not how
great
they grow up.
grandparents. Great grandparents were
They
working.
might not have had
Great
hoses, but
great grandparents were sleeping by the time the dusk to dawn lights came on because they
depends on
were
where they
up at
were.
5 o'clock in the morning to work on the farms and shit.
If they lived in a farm, they could have lived in the city.
Well, in the
Um,
city, the fucking kids were working
right,
when our
right. What
great
what I'm what
grandparents
I'm
were.
trying to say is that the children now have a childhood that is unrecognizable by any standards from any of the people that have lived before them. One out of every seven people that has ever existed exists right now. And we live in a world that could not be explained to somebody 100 years ago. So it is different. This is definitely a different world than what has come before.
Sure, but that was true in the 70s. And that was true in the 1800s. That was true,
Not
like,
to this extent.
but I know you're talking about technology, though.
I'm talking talking about the end of capitalism. Like, it's done. It is
Well,
kaput.
you've seen a little too much Star Trek to believe that shit. Like, just because technology has moved forward doesn't mean capitalism is going to end.
Oh, capitalism is definitely ending. We've crossed the line. We can't fix it. It's done. And I am so excited. I'm so excited about what we're going to build out of it. It is done. Done. And it's going to get weird. It's going to get so weird. It's going to get beautifully ugly for a while. I say beautifully because it has to be. We have to get it all out. It's like the purging process of a plant medicine journey where like you're throwing up and all the gunk comes out, like just gunk that you didn't even eat. Like all of the nasty has to get out, and it's coming, and we're doing it. So this is what happens when you don't talk to me for 2 weeks and I go off grid and
Well, but I don't think that this is necessarily a new thought for you. You've been saying this about capitalism for a while. It's not even it's not that I have resistance to the idea of change. I mean, for sure change is coming. I just have resistance to people saying this is it. This is the change. This is the moment. I have resistance to that because generations before us said the same thing. Yes, technology is speeding up. Yes, everything is changing fast. Yes, but also true in the 70s, also true in the 1800s. Like the we've been in a rapid transformation, yes. But the idea, it cracks me up because God, have you watched Dune? I know I keep bringing up movies, but I read the Dune books when I was young. I was really deeply resistant to watching the newest Dune movie because
there's a new one.
Well, there was a Dune that was made back when I was like 20 something. Sting was in it. He was a young actor in that movie. And I think that's why I picked up the books. But I read them all. They're big, fucking thick ass books. And it's one of those epic multi-generational storylines. So when I saw the Dune movie that was made when I was young, I was kind of horrified by it because you cannot take big, thick, chunky books and put them into a movie. And someone should just get bitch slapped for ever trying.
I like to watch the movie first and then read books for the exact same reason.
But they made a new Dune, and now there's another like Dune Part 2 coming out. Well, I watched the Dune this past week, and I still feel like everyone deserves to be bitch slapped. Everyone, every actor, every producer, everyone. Fuck you all. Stop trying to take that and put it on film. Stop it. God damn it. If I felt the same way about Outlander, but Outlander also big thick books, but we're talking there's seven seasons of a TV show. They're not doing a half bad job. But trying to put them into movies, fuck you for doing that. Anyways, but in Dune, I don't do spoilers, but let's just say that somebody takes a very long view in correcting the way that things are happening. It's an extremely multi-generational long view. And, you know, I don't know. But I think it's very human, and very understandable when someone says, this is it, this is the moment, it's the make or break moment, now or never. It's just like, oh, come on, y'all. Like, yes, create more of what you want to see in the world. Fucking yes. Take responsibility for today and all your choices and do everything you can. But this now or never, it's like, oh, you're so cute. You're
Well,
so
I will
cute.
tell you, Kelly, the timeline that I have transferred to,
Okay.
it's here. We are definitely experiencing it. I knew it was going to happen in my lifetime. I did not know the start until back in December. I realized we were in it. We had officially crossed the line and we're not coming out of it. I've talked to my mom about it for years, saying, I'm not sure if you'll see the reset. She will. She will. We're here. It's here.
Good morning, Tisha. Well, I
Hi,
guess it
Tisha.
just depends on what you think that reset means. I mean,
The reset for me is we are exposing the darkness. We are exposing the nasty, the things that who would ever choose this for what it is. We are shining light on it. And we as a collective are saying, no, not that. We need to build something better. We are at the rebuild of what Earth looks like. That's what I believe the reset is. And I firmly believe it's going to get a lot hairier before it looks like there's light at the end of the tunnel. Like we haven't exposed it all yet. The process of exposing it all is going to get ugly. It's going to get so much more ugly than we see right now. It's happening. And if for I when it starts, like when you have that, you as Kelly, you as the people watching this, remember this moment when you are looking at the world around you. You're like, oh wow, this is getting to be dark. I need you to remember it's part of the process, and all we need to do is focus on what it is that we want on the other side, what we want the light to look like, what we want the world to look like, what we want humanity, how we want to help each other, how we want to grow, and be able to express ourselves to our fullest capacity. Think about what you want to create, not what you don't want to create, and keep moving in that direction, and we'll catch up. But it's going to get hairy first. It's getting hairy. I mean, we can see it. Y'all, we can see it. You're not seeing what the Supreme Court's done in the last 7 days.
Tisha, shit's deep
Tisha.
this morning. Shit's
Yeah,
so
sorry.
Deep. We went from travel blogging to existential mire.
You never know what you're going to get with me. And Kelly knows that she never knows what she's going to get with me, so I don't feel sorry for her.
Oh yeah. I observe from someplace of like, oh my God, what some people must think right now. It's like, whatever.
Yeah, I used to be like that, and I'm like, I just don't even care anymore. I don't have the fucks to give.
Well, I don't feel any need to protect anybody from the way you think. And I don't feel any need to protect you from the way you think. I don't.
I love that.
I do think that I think having been, going through the deconstruction of my faith, there's some things that Christians do that are spiritually abusive, and one of those things is like, well, you just don't understand right now, and God's ways are not our ways, and it's a mystery, and you just have to trust. And I know it doesn't make any sense, but like, that's shit spiritually abusive. And in all of this conversation when someone says, well, you just don't understand right now. While I hold a space for that to be true, it's also feels spiritually abusive to say to somebody, like, to say to somebody you chose this when they have been through hell, is feels spiritually abusive,
because it feels like it's a blame thing, like this is your fault that this is happening, and that's not what this
no,
is.
I take it as responsibility, not fault. I don't even take it as responsibility. I take it as a suggestion of I do not like nor support the concept that anybody intentionally allowed the creation of that 2-year-old being strangled. I do not accept that consciousness said you need to experience that. I don't, fuck that. Fuck that spiritual bullshit.
And what I'm trying to say is it wasn't consciousness that said you need to experience that. And I'm gonna utter this, and I'm very careful about who I say this to, because of what you're feeling right now. What I am trying to express is that we don't understand why, but the 2-year-old chose it.
All right, I consider that does not resonate with me.
Yeah.
Yet.
Yep. I get it.
I hold the yet of it all, because I don't think I'm right and you're wrong.
Right.
But it does not resonate with me. I have an entirely different frequency happening over here, where it's like, no one said I know I'm about to go live this life and I choose it. I don't believe that for a second. I believe that it's an aberration that it happens. I believe this much. I hold the possibility that I dove into this life knowing I could experience pain.
Correct.
But I do not believe that I chose it. I don't believe that anyone says, I know I'm about to experience this and I choose that. I don't believe that. I think that but man, this is some deep chewy shit. This is caramels that you have to hold in your mouth and let soften up chewy shit.
Yep.
I can understand that maybe I just have some resistance to it. But
well, I mean, yeah, of course you have resistance to it. It's a horrible, horrible thought to have, that maybe somewhere on some level this all makes sense. It's an icky thought, because we're looking at the atrocities around us and we're saying this is not okay. There is no part of this that makes sense to me in this reality, that why this should be, could be, is happening. This is not what I want to create. This is not the world I want to live in. And that, more than anything, is the fuel for me to create and to think about, if this is not what I want, what do I want? Because I am a no to that.
Yeah. And the existential choice question is kind of moot in regards to what brought me to today.
Right.
Fuck that. Like, you and I can have a lot of disagreements over it, over the choice issue of the past, but still be like spot on, linked with. But choose for now.
Yes.
Choose for now. What do I want for myself and others today? if I get lost in if I get lost in did I choose my past, I'm wasting energy.
Mm-hmm.
I need I choose to recenter myself and focus on what do I know I am powerfully creating my life today, having an impact on myself and others today.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what matters. Someday, some way, somehow, something else will make sense about my past, but who the fuck cares right now?
And that's it. All we need is the right now. Because what we do right now shapes our future because we're in a
Yeah,
linear time. We can't go back to the past. We
yeah,
can try to make it make sense,
yeah.
but all
I,
that really matters is where we're going.
the spiritually abusive element of um, I just would so much rather, like in the Christian space, people said, his ways are so much higher than your ways, you can't understand it. I wish they would just fuck off and say, I don't know.
Hmm.
Because that's what's true.
Yep.
When someone tries to make sense of the unsensible,
Hmm.
just say, I don't know.
Exactly.
And so what now what? Like,
Hmm.
Nikita, Tasha, Moonies. Thank you for spending time with us today. Thanks for Tuesdays are a wild ride. And I like it. I fucking like it. Nebby's such a good girl.
She's on a leash and she is just sitting here on my feet being a good girl. There's a cat in this room somewhere and she's left it alone. She's not freaking out. She's such a good girl.
She's such a good girl. All right. Well, you've got 11:11 Club to go do. And then I have me
I
skills
do.
after that. I've got to go give George his little kitty cat Prozac.
Oh, I didn't
George
know he was on Prozac.
George just got diagnosed with anxiety yesterday.
Oh,
He's
all
been
right.
he's been over licking. Just over licking and making little bare spots.
Oh, poor
So we went to
baby.
the vet yesterday. I thought maybe they were going to recommend changing his food or something, but they said looking at his skin, he's not demonstrating any kind of dermatological issue. This is anxiety, which kind of broke my brain because I thought, yes, his life was very anxious when I was fostering and there was all the craziness in the house, but things have been
Hmm.
peaceful. But
Yeah.
change is change is change. You know,
Hmm.
Sean moving in, the grandkids being here more. Change is change is change. So he's on little kitty cat Prozac.
All right. Well,
Started
hopefully
yesterday.
he'll feel better.
Yeah.
Hopefully he'll feel better and he'll grow some fur back.
Yeah. Have a wonderful day, Raven.
You too. I love you.
Love you too. Bye.
Bye.